So the travel trailer project is taking a bit more time to get to the part 2 stage than I was originally anticipating, where I can add the aluminum siding, and that is mostly due to the wheel wells. I'm needing to make some nice long curved cuts with my plasma cutter, but I don't really have a good area to do so. I've always just kind of made makeshift things. So I figured I would make a little upgrade to my welding table to where I can have something to hold the sheet metal up while I cut through it. And then I figured I might as well show all the other upgrades I've made to this welding table, as well as answer a few questions that I often get about it. So that's what I'm going to do today. So let's get started. The most obvious upgrade to the table is this tool cabinet. This was originally an Ikea cabinet that I cut probably about 5.5 inches off of the bottom so that it would fit in here. And then I mounted it to a metal plate and added steel tubing on both sides for a little bit of extra support, and then gave it a coat of spray paint just so that it would match everything else. Definitely not the most robust cabinet you could get, but for about 35 or 40 bucks from what we spent at Ikea, pretty darn good. Holds tools really well. It's like I said, it's not the most heavy duty, but it holds a decent amount of tools. And these drawers slide in and out really nicely, where I can just set them, use whatever I'm using from there, and then place them back in the cabinet. And that's pretty much it. Okay, now for the biggest and what I consider to be the most useful upgrade to this table, and that is this grid of holes you see across the top. No, I didn't drill these holes. I actually had my friend Kelly from Jack's Metal cut these on his CNC plasma cutter. I just gave him a really rough sketch of the framework underneath the top, and he somehow figured it out to where none of these holes aligned with any of the table's framework. And mostly what I have been using these holes for is clamping. So I like these little Harbor Freight bar clamps, and I always grind off the tabs so that I can slip them apart like that. And I simply slip one end underneath the table and reconnect them on top, and then I can clamp anything I want. I can clamp jigs, do anything like that. If I'm doing woodworking, I can clamp something down that I'm sanding, and you will see some clips of that in some upcoming projects. But so far, really awesome upgrade. I do plan on making some little permanent jigs of like 90s and maybe a stair-step pattern or anything that I think I might need to use in the future. And then for those, I will weld on these little barrel hinges onto the underside, because these actually fit inside these holes just perfectly as well. And now for the upgrade I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this front slide out. I made this in the exact same way that I made these side slide outs. It's simply 14 gauge 1¼ inch tubing sliding inside of 1.5 inch galvanized perforated tubing. And you can see that in the original build video. But anyway, the original idea for this slide out was to have a place to make longer plasma cuts, where I can set the sheet of metal here and have a way for the plasma arc to go down and hopefully not hit anything else. But I also plan on using this as a general support structure if I'm working on a larger piece, that a portion of the piece can sit over here. It extends pretty far out, and I do have a little insert that I can slide in here just to simply extend my tabletop, and I'll show you that right now. And this is the insert section. It's just made with some angle iron as well as some tubing, just the same as the front of the extension, and it just sets in there on the rails and can be closed up and is pretty much flush with the rest of the tabletop. I don't know exactly what I will do with this in the future. I have left this loose where I can pop this out, and I might eventually put some proper vertical pieces of steel for some more intricate plasma cutting. But with that said, I do have another option for that, and I'll show you that now. And this is my more intricate solution to smaller plasma cutting or grinding jobs. A mini plasma table insert. I made this out of angle iron, 1 inch by 1 inch 16 gauge tubing, and then I cut slots in the tubing to where it would accept 1.5 inch flat bar stock. And then these tabs on the bottom allow it to sit right in the rails of this extension. Snugs right up, and then I can use this piece of tubing as a rest in which to work. And then each one of these pieces of flat bar stock can be changed out as they get used up and cut with the plasma cutting or grinding or whatever I'm doing on this. Okay, so as I like to say quite often, or probably too often, that will pretty much do it for the Welding Table Upgrades and Dimensions overview. If you are interested in seeing any of the other features in a bit more detail, or even how I built the table from start to finish, I will post a link down below to the original build video. But as with any of my projects, I hope this serves as some sort of inspiration, or maybe kickstarts an idea you may have in a workbench or welding table project of your own. With regard to the dimensions, I like to tell people to use your creativity. You don't necessarily have to build a table exactly like this. I mean, use what you like here, but you know, feel free to expand upon it. Build it bigger or smaller based on your own needs. You know, for example, you probably don't want to build it to the exact same height as mine because you're probably taller or shorter than me. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. If you do want to see some of the behind the scenes of some of these projects, check me out on Instagram. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and we will see you next time, hopefully on another travel trailer build video if I can get some things figured out. See ya. Scratch what you just heard me say about the travel trailer being the next video. We've been having some crazy winds for the past week or so, and the last thing I need to do before I put the siding on is paint this frame, and I don't want to do it on a windy day where I could get dust and grit in the paint. So I don't know what's going to be next week, but I'm thinking that this wind is pushing me back a little bit further than I thought. So anyway, we'll figure it out.